Now we've got our basic edit created. We've got several clips dropped in, and our sequence of the clips one after another is all set up. What I'd like to do now is take a look at that video track 2 and video track 3, and let's look at layering our video. Now I just want to try this out, so I'm going to scroll back to the beginning of our timeline, and I'm just going to pull up a video that we've already added in here where we have Wave kind of scanning the horizon there. That was our Wave movie clip. What I'm going to do is just drag it out of the project window and drag it down to our timeline, but this time I'm going to pop it into the video 2 track. Now as you can see, I've dragged it right on top of the 3 other videos down in the video 1 timeline. And as you could probably expect, if we scrub our playhead across here, since that Wave movie is on top of the other ones, that's the way our movie appears. You can see it completely blots out the shaving movie that we had before, and part of the tent movie and the ski ridge movie. Well, that's because our video layers are exactly that. They're layers. But rarely would you want to just have one piece of video completely overtake the other video. So let's take a look at some of the controls we have available to us in every video track. Now you notice my video 1 track is a little taller than the video 2 track, and I can make the video 2 track look the same by twirling down this little triangle control here, and now I have the same thing. I've got my video 2 track showing this little yellow line here. Now I mentioned the pull-down menu at the top. The pull-down menu actually controls what the yellow line is going to do for us. By default, it's set to opacity. And actually, if I grab that yellow line, you can see my cursor changes a little bit. I can reduce the opacity of my layer. It gives me some feedback in the numbers there. And if I set the opacity down to, about 30 or so, you'll notice that that whole layer becomes transparent, and we can see the other layers of video through it. Now that's exactly what this yellow line is going to do in each one of the clips we've already placed. But in our final edit, I don't really want a ghost of the video of Wave hanging out over the top of this as he floats along, but I could use this opacity and the video 2 layer in order to achieve that. Now what's also kind of interesting about this line is that we can add some animation to this line inside the program by adding keyframes to it. Now all of you know how keyframes work inside of Flash movies, and functionally they're going to do the same thing for me inside of Premiere, but we're going to set them up a little bit differently. First of all, we should notice that if we just drag this line around, we move the opacity for the entire clip. But if you hold down the Control key and click on the timeline, or that would be a command on the Macintosh, that's what you'll use to create a keyframe. Now making one keyframe doesn't seem like it changes much of anything. But if I make 2 keyframes, I'm going to make a second one up in front. Again, I'm going to hold down the Control key and click. Now I've got a second keyframe, and I can drag this one down. And you can sort of see what we have with the yellow line here. We're getting a little ramp up. If I drag the first keyframe all the way down as far as it'll go, then this video will be completely transparent, and it'll ramp up to whatever opacity setting is on the second keyframe. In fact, if I push this one up as far as it'll go up to the top, then we'll have our video completely opaque at this point. And if I scrub between these 2 keyframes, you can see that at the beginning we don't see any of the ghost of Wave. We start seeing Wave fading in here, and there you can see it's at 100% opacity, so it's completely blotting out the clips underneath it just like before. Now this type of thing makes for great special effects, especially if we combine this with one other thing, and that is if you have a layer selected in the timeline window and you click on that layer inside the program sequence window, you can see what you get is a whole bunch of handles around that layer element. And these handles allow you to do exactly what you probably think you could do, which is scale and manipulate that element. We can scale it down, we can move it around, and now we've seen that we can change the opacity. And like I said, that makes for great special effects in our clips.